the 15-year-old that you're supposed to be meeting right now. I'm that person. I was the one that was talking the whole time.
Ever seen a 57-year-old predator making a run for it? Or maybe one that decides to jump into the river? They're not holding back when they know they're caught and in the wrong. And guess what? I'm here to show you exactly how it all goes down when these predators realize there's no way out. So stick around, because it's going to be a wild ride. Number 1. Predator lies to officer then bolts. First off, there is this guy, 57-year-old Sean Gary Hendershot, who thought he could outsmart the cop by giving him a false name.
All right, I'm going to give you one chance to give me your real name, all right? So if that is not your real name, we can avoid that one charge, and we can just go by the reason why I'm stopping you, the reason why I'm getting out with you.
What's the background? Well, you see, the cops were on the lookout for his ride because Hendershot decided to move without giving them a heads up about vacating his house. And when you're a registered sex offender like him, you can't just up and leave without giving the cops a warning. Fast forward to January 29th, 2024, and Officer Rail is patrolling around. His automated license plate reader alerts him it was none other than our predator. The officer confronted him as he was filling up his tank at the 7-Eleven gas station. That's when he tried to lie about his name.
So again, real quick, so you want to say that your name is Blake Barry Anderson?
Hendershot.
Hendershot,
Yes,
okay.
sir.
But the cop saw right through the charade and called Hendershot out. Hendershot then gave his real name, waited for his moment, and tried to make a run for it.
Turn around, put your hands behind your back.
Okay.
Stop running!
Which was pretty much useless. Because let's be real here, predators like him aren't exactly known for their athleticism after all that computer screen time. Needless to say, Hendershot didn't get far, and soon Officer Rail had him in handcuffs.
All right, Central, I got him on the ground, 209 Dillon.
Where he belonged. As it turns out, Hendershot had a laundry list of warrants from both St. Lucie and Dixie County for playing hooky on his sex offender probation reporting duties. So he earned himself a couple more entries on his rap sheet for giving Officer Rail a fake name and trying to resist his arrest. A pretty basic escape, right? Well, check this one out. Number 2. Predator jumps into a river in an attempt to escape. This suspect is no younger. He was 55. And his crime? He was talking to what he thought was a 15-year-old girl on Telegram, and you just know his intentions were far from innocent. And then there's the fact that he decided to meet the supposed girl at the Susquehanna River in Wilkes-Barre.
I am the 15-year-old that you're supposed to be meeting right now. I'm that person. I was the one that was talking the whole time.
A location with fewer people, so I know I'm not the only one who's as suspicious. But what this predator didn't know was that he was talking to a YouTube predator catcher under disguise. And it's safe to say that the man was quite surprised to find a grown man instead of a potential young victim.
I am the 15-year-old that you're supposed to be meeting right now.
His reaction was straight out of a book, trying to deny any involvement, pretending not to know what was going on, and all that jazz. But you know he's far from innocent when he not only runs away, but also climbs a hill to reach a river in which he jumps even though he doesn't know how to swim.
Oh, this mother...
Tell me those are actions of an innocent man, and that idiot even tries to swim to the other end. Anything to escape being held accountable for your actions. Eventually, the predator catcher decides enough is enough and calls the cops. After a good half hour of searching, with even the fire department joining in, they call off the hunt. Looks like this guy managed to slip through the cracks. For now, at least. Number 3. Predator pulls gun on cops. Just a few days back, on April 17th, 2024, Seattle became the stage for a bone-chilling encounter. The state's Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force had its sights set on a suspicious guy, a 67-year-old man whose intentions were anything but wholesome. From what he believed, he was going to meet up with not one but 2 young girls. And guess what he was told their ages were? Just 7 and 11 years old. Yep, you heard that right. Kids barely out of elementary school. And where does he choose as his meeting spot? None other than the Doubletree Suites Hilton Hotel at 3 p.m. Little did he know, though, that the only welcoming committee waiting for him was an undercover squad of Seattle police, ready to put him in cuffs and behind bars. But the need for that never really occurred, because things took a turn when the cops swung open the door. What does this guy do? He pulls out a gun that he brought along to meet who he believed were innocent little girls. It's not just disturbing, it's alarming. As soon as he flashes his gun, the cops don't waste a minute to take out their own weapons and fire at him. The man was later pronounced dead at the scene. Thankfully, not a single person of value was lost that day, but the world got free from a child predator. That's for sure. Number 4. A predator hiding under the skin of a grandpa. A 68-year-old man is also facing jail time after trying to solicit a minor. Now, if you saw him on the street, you might think he's just your friendly neighborhood grandpa, but don't be fooled. This guy's got some seriously sinister intentions. So, why is he being greeted with multiple guns pointed toward him? Well, turns out he was the prime target of a lengthy undercover operation carried out by none other than the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office. The Sheriff's Office crafted multiple online personas to lure in online predators like him and end their dangerous antics. In this high-stakes operation, an officer stepped into the role of a teenager engaging in conversations with the suspected predator. What's particularly disturbing is that this guy made the first move, reaching out to the girl, and it was crystal clear that he knew he was chatting with someone who claimed to be just 14 years old. The messages span over 2 months, and you can imagine the nature of those messages. That's why the suspect showed up at the designated meeting spot, and you can guess he wasn't there to grab a few donuts, but only to be met by police officers ready to take him into custody. And the fact that he had the audacity to look so distressed, as if he wasn't the one ruining lives? Pathetic. Number 5. Predator falls into the police trap. And because there is no shortage of horrible people in the world, Jeffrey Suber, a 65-year-old part-time high school bus driver, is another person on the list. He decided to chat up a Facebook profile of a 15-year-old boy. But guess what? He had no clue that the Warsaw Undercover Police Department was running the show behind that profile. Quite a lot of times, he showed how he was well aware of the minor's age. Still, his propositions were far from innocent, because he talked about everything from sexual acts to kinks. After just a few days of chatting, and he was ready to meet the guy, and as snacks, he proposed to bring some meth. His intentions couldn't have been clearer if he had them tattooed on his forehead. As soon as Subert stepped foot in the meeting spot, the cops wasted no time slapping on the handcuffs. His reaction said it all. No questions, no confusion, just acceptance. When the officers searched him, they found an auto parts box stuffed with meth and a syringe ready to go, and some other nasty stuff as well. During the investigation, Suber wasn't exactly forthcoming with the cops. He refused to tell the cops about the whereabouts of drugs and withheld much more info as well. But the cops weren't about to let him off the hook that easily. They asked for his consent to search his phone, and boy, did they find some disturbing content. Countless pictures and Google searches related to bestiality. Seriously, what kind of sick stuff are these perverts into? Despite the seriousness of his crimes, he somehow managed to secure release on a $5,000 cash bond. If that's not a slap on the wrist, maybe the reason this list is so long is because of how unserious these sentences are. Number 6. After being arrested, predator calmly says goodbye to girlfriend. So, next up is a repeat criminal who is the epitome of the world shameless. In La Crosse, Wisconsin, officers had gotten reports alleging one person was behind uploading explicit images of young girls who were just 14 to some as young as just 3 years old. The suspect was 46-year-old Brian Schaffer. Once the cops had the evidence, they obtained a search warrant to pay him a visit. Right when they knocked on the door, Brian himself answered. They wasted no time cuffing him and taking him away to the police car. But this child predator remained eerily calm. He even requested a final goodbye from his girlfriend, who had just come back from work. Despite being warned twice about the warrant allowing officers to check anything he owned, including his phone, Brian refused to cooperate. He even tried to clench his fist when officers wanted to use his fingerprints to unlock his phone, and went as far as to threaten to break his own hand.
I'll break my fucking hand!
As it turns out, this isn't the first time this guy has been in trouble for these kinds of crimes. In 1999, he was found guilty of sexual assault on a child. Shockingly, he only got a 3.5-year prison sentence for it. He even had another run-in with the law in 2018 involving child pornography. In January 2019, he was released on a $1,000 signature bond with the condition that he stay away from internet devices. Clearly, that didn't stick. This time, he was held on a $25,000 cash bond. Again, not much. No wonder why our society is full of these vile creatures. Number 7. Children rescued at the last minute from a potential predator. This one was a parent's nightmare. On October 10th, 2022, around 7 p.m. in Hillsborough County, Florida, Deputy Jonathan Pazmino Alvarez was on duty when a distressed dad approached him. The man explained that his 2011 white Chevrolet Silverado with his 4-year-old and 8-year-old children inside had been stolen, but the victim had spotted the officer just in time, so the suspect didn't get far. Deputy Alvarez quickly caught up with the stolen car and pulled it over within minutes. Surprisingly, the suspect cooperated without any fuss, which is rare in such cases. The terrified kids can be heard crying in the background. The officer wasted no time and made sure they were safe by calmly asking the kids about their connection to the suspect. As soon as he learned they were not related, he took immediate action to separate them from any danger. The suspect seemed nervous and could have caused harm to the kids to get out of trouble, but the officer left him no chance to do so by grabbing his arm. With the keys still in the car, things could have gone south fast if the suspect had tried to flee, which was the issue the officer tackled next. The officer then took control, got Kevin out of the car, and cuffed him. With a long criminal history dating back to 2003, Kevin Smith faced serious charges. He's now locked up in Falkenberg Road Jail without bail, charged with grand theft of a motor vehicle and 2 counts of felony kidnapping. Thankfully, the kids were safe from the predator. Number 8. Predator drives recklessly with a car full of children. Next up is the troubling case involving a 41-year-old man, Jeremy Guthrie. The New Mexico State Police pulled him over for DUI, but it wasn't just a routine traffic stop. See, Guthrie's driving was all over the place, speeding through lanes, taking dangerous turns, you name it. It didn't take long for the cops to catch him and pull him over.
Hey there.
Hello.
How are you?
All right.
Just all right?
Yeah.
Okay. Should you drive license?
Despite trying to act cool, his speech and movements gave away the fact that he'd had one too many. And when the officer checked the back seat, they found 6 kids. Yeah, 6. That's when things got really concerning.
Okay, and then you have a bunch of kids in the car. How many kids? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Who are these kids to you?
This is my friend.
That's your friend?
Yeah.
How old's your friend?
18.
That girl's not 18? That girl's not 18. Trust me. She don't look 18.
When questioned about the kids, Guthrie insisted they were all over 18. Even the first-row passengers stayed silent. The officers asked Guthrie to step out of the vehicle, and that's when they noticed his zipper was open, in a car full of kids. Despite Guthrie's insistence that the kids were just friends, the officers weren't buying it. They turned to the youngsters for the truth, and it turned out all 6 of them were just 13 or 14.
So, that there's your homie? Okay, so you guys all need to call your parents.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, and have your parents meet us here.
After Guthrie underwent field sobriety tests, which he failed, he was arrested on the spot.
You want to turn around? You want to turn around? All right, so you're going to be placed under arrest for DWI, okay?
One of the girls in the car, a 13-year-old, bravely came forward, revealing that he had been sexually abusing her for months. Shockingly, she disclosed that she had suffered a miscarriage at just 12 years old due to Guthrie's abuse. He was also accused of sending inappropriate text messages to the girl's twin sister, who was also present in the car. He was sent to Albuquerque's Metropolitan Detention Center after being charged with about 16 offenses. Number 9. Woman kidnapped by ex and his partner. A woman was kidnapped by her ex, Jack Morgan, and his new partner, Sophie. The couple had been planning the abduction for nearly a year, even creating fake social media accounts to stalk her. Their goal was to isolate and brainwash her into marrying one of them.
I was in Las Vegas. He broke into my Las Vegas apartment and stole me from my home.
Do you know the guy?
Yeah, he's my ex-boyfriend. How did you know? He dragged me out of the place and I fought so fucking hard because I was like, this is how you die. And I think a neighbor saw me getting dragged out. He choked me out like 6 times because I kept fighting so hard.
On the night of the kidnapping, Jack Morgan, pretending to be a church donation collector, forcefully entered the victim's apartment. Many people saw him dragging her down 3 flights of stairs to his van, where his partner was waiting. To keep her from resisting, Morgan handcuffed her wrists and ankles and chained her to the van's floorboard. A neighbor reported the incident and had luckily got part of the license plate, which started a search.
Get on the ground, passenger! All the way!
Soon enough, the cops caught up to the kidnappers.
Got a camera. Do you need a...
Oh my god, thank you!
Okay. We're gonna get you out of here.
Do you need me to say anything about what happened or anything?
Sarge, I want to take some pictures. We have the evidence. He's tight, chained down by the neck. Okay, go ahead. No,
Okay,
let's back him up. Let's go.
lock him up.
After taking them away from the victim, officers comforted the victim. Even in that situation, the victim tried her best to relay as much information as possible to the cops. Now, as the suspects were being hauled off to the police station, their behavior raised some serious red flags. Morgan, the mastermind behind the whole thing, decides it's a good time to chat with an officer about his favorite hymn. And then, out of nowhere, he starts belting out Amazing Grace. Talk about a lack of remorse.
Wear shoes next time.
Are we going to the police station?
We are.
I've never been there.
You ever been to a police station or this police station?
Well, I mean, I've never been in a police station, period. I don't think.
Okay.
And his partner in crime? Just chilling like it's just another day. Both face charges of kidnapping, false imprisonment, and conspiracy. Morgan received a life sentence, while the partner was sentenced to 63 months in prison with 5 years of supervised release. Number 10. A vile predator shields himself with a child. This one's as shocking as it gets. So on September 27th, 2022, 27-year-old Brandon Lohner was arrested for snatching his girlfriend's 1-year-old kid. According to the arrest records, things went south real quick after a visit from their neighbor. Leona, clearly not in his right mind, flips out, thinking the neighbor's out to get him or something. Filled with paranoia and anger, Leona dashed to his Nissan to look for something essential. What was it? Probably a tracking device? No one but him knows. But one thing's for sure, his actions were anything but calculated. He drove off with the baby on his lap, ignoring red lights and even failing to secure them both with seatbelts. The situation was made even more dangerous by the presence of a gun in his car, as reported by the mother. Thankfully, she acted quickly by calling 911, leading to a high-speed chase by officers. The cops finally caught up to him in a McDonald's parking lot. When Leona finally stopped his car, he did something truly despicable. He used the baby as a shield. Can you believe that? I don't know who else could be if that's not a predator. Even when the cops were practically begging him to let go of the little one, he just wouldn't listen.
Baby down! Put the kid down!
But thankfully, one officer managed to snatch the baby away from harm's way, and then hell broke loose on this opportunist. Leona wasn't going down without a fight. Even after the baby was safe, he kept on resisting arrest like a wild animal. It took a police dog and a taser to finally get him to calm down and slap those handcuffs on him. The kid was totally safe. But Leona? He's facing a laundry list of charges, including neglecting the child, causing serious injuries, kidnapping, reckless driving, trying to dodge the cops, and even resisting arrest with violence. Number 11. 8-year-old rescued from a 51-year-old. On May 18, 2019, a mom and her 8-year-old girl were out for a stroll when things took a terrifying turn. A strange car rolled by, driven by none other than 51-year-old Michael Webb. He said something to the pair, but they wisely ignored him. Moments later, Webb returned, stepping out of his car and approaching them. Sensing danger, the mom shielded her daughter, but Webb didn't stop. He forcefully snatched the little girl away. The next day, May 19th, police received a tip leading them to Webb's hotel room. However, despite a search, they didn't find the victim. Simply put, it's because cops didn't search properly, because what they didn't know was that Webb had hidden her in a laundry basket and threatened her into silence by threatening her parents. Later that night, a family friend who had joined the search spotted Webb's Ford sedan at a hotel and again reported to 911. Cops showed up and noticed something fishy, blood in the front seat. They barged into Webb's room to look again. But Webb was stubborn. He said he was getting dressed and wouldn't come out, so the cops had to use a battering ram to crash in. As they pulled him out, he was butt naked, which pretty much confirmed the officers' worst fears. If the 8-year-old was in there, he must have done something awful to her. As soon as they barged in, they spotted the victim tucked away under a heap of clothes. The officers wasted no time getting her to safety. The officer didn't waste any time to put the perpetrator in handcuffs. The jury wasted no time in delivering their verdict, finding Webb guilty of kidnapping in under 15 minutes. He got hit with the harshest punishment, a lifetime behind bars. Number 12. Son taken along with stolen car. On April 4th, 2022, the Atlanta police got a frantic call about a kidnapping. Jerica Moore reported that she had stopped at a Goodwill store, leaving her car running with her 9-year-old son inside. Suddenly, a man later revealed to be 38-year-old Darius White jumped into her car and drove off with her son, still in the back seat. They managed to find the car within just an hour of the initial report, all thanks to the GPS on the child's phone. The Georgia State Patrol teams located the car, but the suspect wasn't ready to surrender. He attempted to flee, but the officers swiftly intervened, executing a pity maneuver. And as soon as he was caught, this guy started his toxic behavior. His first attempt was to connect himself to the victim to show how he was just as stuck. It's a sneaky move some people pull, playing the victim to get out of trouble. The kid managed to wiggle out through the back window while the cops were taking down Darius. Seeing the little one so shaken up, one of the officers rushed over to offer some comfort. The kid was clearly scared, but guess what? Even in his fear, he was still concerned and showed concern for his mom. Now that's what you call a thoughtful little guy. Thankfully, he came out of the whole ordeal without a scratch. He was quickly reunited with his mom. Number 13. When the predators are your own parents. In 2021, concerned neighbors dialed up the Flagler County Sheriff's Office. They could hear kids screaming in a house owned by Christina Coe and Gilbert Bridewell. The deputies rushed over and were greeted by the sound of a child crying out for his parents. As the deputies approached the house, they couldn't miss the loud banging noises coming from inside. But surprise, it was just a kid innocently tapping his juice cup against the wall because he was craving a refill. As the officers got closer, they caught a whiff of something foul and spotted piles of trash piled up by the front door. Not exactly the clean and tidy environment you'd want for raising a child, huh? The mother's careless attitude and her comments about the kids raised some red flags for the officers. She insisted she was watching them, but the officers could see through her excuses, and the neighbors had complained multiple times about the constant screaming coming from the house. When they looked into it, Christina was like she had just changed the kids' diapers, but they were full from drinking juice, even though the diapers were messy, and the kids were still demanding more juice. It just didn't quite add up. Inside the house, it was a total mess. Trash everywhere, cockroaches making themselves at home, and even poop on the walls and in the kids' beds. When the officers asked the mom about it, she just shrugged it off, saying she was doing her best. Then, the officer dropped the big question. Do the kids ever get baths here? She said they had a bathtub, but guess what? The officers found it still in its original packaging, untouched and covered in dirt. The couple got slapped with 3 counts of felony child neglect without great bodily harm. And the Department of Children and Families stepped in, and following their advice, all 3 kids were taken out of there and placed with a family member. When the officers slapped the cuffs on the mom, her reaction showed she cared more about herself than the kids. I mean, if she gave a darn about those little ones, their place wouldn't have looked like a garbage tornado hit it. Alright folks, that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed learning about these cases and want to stay tuned for more, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss out. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.